How are you doing? Welcome to Chapter 1, Section 3 of the online video course, Chinese Traditional Culture and Spiritual Healing. I'm Xiaohen Bi, a teacher at Guangdong University of Foreign Studies.
Professor, I feel that I've reached the end of the road and there's no road ahead, nor any hope. What should I do?
Liu Xizai, a writer and scholar from the Qing dynasty, said, Zhuangzi can find a road where there seems to be no road. By this, he means that when others find no exit, Zhuangzi always sees the way out. Even when he has bad luck, he always plays a good game. Though living in an era in which life was worthless and smelled like death, Zhuangzi not only managed to find comfort in his life, but also taught the weak who are insulted and deprived to find their comfort. His wisdom of life is admirable. Professor Liu Shaojing, a Zhuangzi research expert, told me a joke. He said, in ancient China, very few intellectuals committed suicide. That's because they had Zhuangzi. I think there is some sense in it, because Zhuangzi always shows us the light in the darkest hours of life. If one is having a hard time with his job or business, Zhuangzi tells him that seeking truth in Tao is far more pleasing than going after fame and fortune. If one is hurt by love, Zhuangzi tells him that when the streams dry up, the fishes collect together on the land. Rather than moisturing one another and keeping one another wet with their slime, it would be better for them to forget one another in the rivers and lakes. Being alone is not a bad thing, for one can enjoy more freedom in loneliness. If one is physically disadvantaged, Zhuangzi tells him that the spiritual life is far more important than the physical body, and the physical body won't hinder spiritual growth. If one is in despair because of his incurable disease, Zhuangzi tells him that life and death are like day and night, which is the natural order of the universe. This is Tao. Death is not the end, but rather it is a necessary step toward a new life. Following the natural order of life and death is the most natural thing we can do. If one does the right thing but is misunderstood and even criticized, Zhuangzi tells him that he doesn't have to go against the norm. He doesn't need to prove himself right. He needs to free himself from others' judgment and follow his heart. If one finds himself useless, and he is always isolated by others, Zhuangzi tells him that it is precisely because of his uselessness that a tree remains intact and remains itself. Otherwise, it is chopped down. On this account, uselessness is actually usefulness. There is no such thing as a hopeless situation. There are only people who feel hopeless about a situation. When there is no evident exit, how can one find the way out? Lu Xun points out the first way out. What is a road? The earth had no road to begin with, but when many people passed through a thorny path, a road was made. Lu Xun's approach is proactive and pioneering. He's an action taker and fighter in difficult times. Because of his courage and actions, I look up to him. Zhuangzi believes that often we are actually confined by our own minds when we see no way out. In his work, The Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle reveals that all human sufferings spring from the thinking activities of our brains. The way our brains think traps us. They turn us into the frogs in the well, seeing the sky above and the road ahead as our entire world. If we can see the world in the light of Tao, we will be able to escape from the well and hit the road. Then we will have a brighter life. Zhuangzi's approach is transcendental and spiritual. It is an approach that seeks reconciliation with plight. His open-mindedness and self-healing are really amazing. It's said that the better way to achieve success is to create a different view of success. For me, it makes good sense. If we define success as fame and fortune, winning and excellence, then for most of us, we always feel hopeless about success. We tend to think that the road to success is yet to be built. However, if we define success differently, say being passionate in jobs, doing things that we are good at, and taking meaningful endeavors, then we always see a path to success. Now we've come to the end of the lesson. To help you review, I invite you to the discussion of the following 2 questions. 1. Can you give some examples of Zhuangzi's teaching, showing us the light in the darkest hours of life? 2. What do you think is the major difference between Lu Xun's approach and that of Zhuangzi's in seeking the way out in difficult